I stood in the middle of our beautifully decorated backyard, watching Daniel laugh with his college friends. The fairy lights we'd hung together cast a warm glow over everything, but my stomach felt twisted in knots. "Sarah, you look absolutely stunning tonight," Marcus said, appearing beside me with 2 glasses of champagne. Daniel's best friend from law school had this way of making me feel like I was the only woman in the room. "Daniel's the luckiest guy here." "Thank you," I said, accepting the glass. Our fingers brushed, and I felt that dangerous flutter I'd been trying to ignore for months. "So, how does it feel, being engaged to my boring old roommate?" Marcus teased, his eyes never leaving mine. I laughed, probably too loudly. "He's not boring. He's stable." "Stable," Marcus repeated, raising an eyebrow. "That's what every woman dreams of, right? Stability?" Before I could answer, Daniel appeared at my side. "What are you two talking about?" "Just telling your beautiful fiancé how lucky you are," Marcus said smoothly, clinking his glass against Daniel's. "Don't I know it," Daniel said, wrapping his arm around my waist and kissing my temple. "I can't believe she said yes to a guy like me." The guilt hit me like a punch to the stomach. Daniel was so genuine, so trusting, and here I was, enjoying the attention from his best friend. "Honey, your aunt wants to talk about the flowers," Daniel said. "Something about the arrangements for the church?" "Of course," I said, forcing a smile. "I'll be right there." As Daniel walked away, Marcus stepped closer. "You know, if you ever get tired of stable—" "Marcus," I warned, but my voice came out breathless instead of firm. "I'm just saying," he continued, his voice low. "Some women need more than stable. Some women need excitement." I should have walked away. I should have told him to stop. Instead, I found myself asking, "And what makes you think I'm one of those women?" His smile was dangerous. Call it intuition. The rest of the party passed in a blur of congratulations and small talk, but I kept finding myself drawn back to Marcus. Every time Daniel got caught up in conversation with relatives, Marcus would appear with another drink, another compliment, another flirtatious comment that made my heart race. "This is crazy," I whispered to myself as I watched Daniel animatedly discussing our honeymoon plans with his parents. He looked so happy, so excited about our future together. What was wrong with me? The party was winding down when Marcus found me by the garden shed, away from the crowd. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice urgent. "I've been thinking about you for months, Sarah. I know it's wrong, but I can't help it." My heart pounded. "Marcus, we can't. I know Daniel's my best friend. I know you're getting married. But Sarah, the way you look at me, tell me you don't feel it too." I should have said no. I should have walked away. Instead, I whispered, "This is insane." "I know," he said, stepping closer. "But sometimes insane is exactly what we need." Before I could think, his lips were on mine. The kiss lasted maybe 5 seconds, but it felt like my entire world shifted. When we broke apart, I immediately felt sick. "This never happened," I said, my hands shaking. "Never," he agreed, but his eyes said something completely different. I spent the rest of the evening in a daze, helping clean up and saying goodbye to guests, while Marcus's kiss burned on my lips. That night, lying next to Daniel as he slept peacefully, I stared at the ceiling and hated myself. The next morning my phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again?" I stared at the message for a full minute. "Delete it," I told myself. Block his number. Instead, I typed back, "We can't do this." His response came immediately. "But we want to, don't we?" "Marcus, please. Daniel is your best friend." "I know. That's what makes this so complicated. But Sarah, what I feel for you, it's not going away." "What do you want me to say?" "Say you'll meet me for coffee. Just to talk, that's all." "I can't." "One coffee. What's the harm in talking?" I knew I should say no. I knew this was the moment to shut it down completely. Instead, I found myself typing. "Thursday, 2 p.m. the Starbucks on 5th Street. Thank you, I promise. Just talking. But we both knew it was already more than just talking. I was crossing a line, and there would be no going back. 2 weeks later, I was living a double life. Daniel and I were deep in wedding planning, while Marcus and I exchanged dozens of messages every day. "Where are you going?" Daniel asked one Thursday evening as I grabbed my purse. "Coffee with Jessica," I lied, my pulse racing. "We're planning the bachelorette party." "Tell her I said hi," Daniel called from the kitchen where he was making us dinner. "Love you, babe." "Love you too," I replied, the words tasting like poison. At the cafe, Marcus was waiting in our usual corner booth. "You look beautiful," he said as I sat down. "We can't keep doing this," I said, even as I felt myself melting under his gaze. "I know, but I can't stay away from you," he said, reaching across the table. "Sarah, what we have is real. Don't you feel it?" "Of course I feel it. That's the problem." "Is it really a problem, or is it the solution?" "What do you mean?" "Maybe this is the universe telling you that you're marrying the wrong person." I pulled my hand away. Daniel is a good man. Good, yes, but is he right for you? Does he make your heart race like I do? I couldn't answer because we both knew the truth. Back home, Emma was helping me address wedding invitations. "You seem distracted lately," she said, studying my face. "Pre-wedding jitters?" "Something like that," I mumbled, focusing on the elegant calligraphy. "Daniel's such a good guy, Sarah. You're really lucky to have found someone so loyal and honest." Her words felt like a knife in my chest. Loyal and honest. Everything I wasn't being. "I know," I said quietly. "You okay? You look pale." "Just tired. Wedding planning is exhausting." "Well, it'll all be worth it. You two are perfect together." That night, I almost confessed everything to Daniel. He was so excited about the venue, showing me pictures on his laptop and talking about our first dance. But every time I opened my mouth to tell him about Marcus, the words died in my throat. "I can't wait to marry you," Daniel said, pulling me close. 3 months feels like forever. "Yeah," I whispered against his chest. "Forever." But I knew that forever was already slipping away. 3 weeks after the engagement party, Daniel and I were having a lazy Sunday morning. I was in the shower when I heard him calling my name, his voice strange and tight. "Sarah, can you come here for a minute?" I wrapped a towel around myself and walked out to find Daniel sitting on our bed, holding my phone. My stomach dropped to the floor. "Who's Marcus?" Daniel asked quietly, his face pale. "And why is he texting you? Can't wait to see you tonight, beautiful." "Daniel, I can explain." "Explain what?" His voice was getting louder. "Explain why my best friend is calling my fiancé beautiful? Explain why you two apparently have plans tonight that I don't know about?" I watched, in horror, as Daniel scrolled through weeks of messages between Marcus and me. His face went through so many emotions: confusion, hurt, anger, and finally, a devastating sadness. "Jesus, Sarah," he whispered. "You've been having an affair with my best friend for weeks." "It's not what you think," I said desperately. We only kissed once, at the engagement party. The rest was just texting." Daniel looked up at me like I was a stranger. "Just texting? Sarah, you're telling another man you have feelings for him. You're meeting him in secret. You're lying to me every single day." His voice cracked. "At our engagement party, Sarah. You kissed him at our engagement party." I started crying, but Daniel stood up and moved away from me. "I need you to leave." "Daniel, please, let me explain properly." "No." The finality in his voice was terrifying. "I need time to think, and I can't do that with you here. Go stay with Emma or Jessica or whoever. Just not here." I got dressed with shaking hands while Daniel sat in the living room, his head in his hands. As I packed a bag, I kept hoping he'd change his mind, but when I walked past him toward the door, he didn't even look up. "Daniel." "Just go, Sarah. Please." I left our home with one suitcase and a shattered heart, knowing I had no one to blame but myself. I spent that night crying on Emma's couch, telling her everything through broken sobs. I messed up so badly, Emma, I cried. I don't even know why I did it. Daniel is perfect, and I threw it all away for what? Some excitement? Some stupid fantasy? People make mistakes, Sarah, Emma said gently, stroking my hair. The question is, what are you going to do now? The next morning, my phone was flooded with messages, but not from Daniel. Word had spread quickly through our friend group. Jessica called me, her voice ice cold. Is it true? Did you really cheat on Daniel with Marcus? Jess, it's complicated. No, it's not complicated, Sarah. It's actually pretty simple. Did you or did you not have an affair? Closed my eyes. Yes. The silence was deafening. Finally, Jessica spoke again. I can't believe you. Daniel worships you. He's been planning this wedding for months, talking about your future together, and you've been sneaking around with his best friend? Jessica, please. And you used me as an alibi. You made me an accomplice to your lies without even knowing it. The hurt in her voice was unmistakable. I need some time, Sarah. I can't talk to you right now. Over the next few days, I learned who my real friends were. Maya, my college roommate, reached out immediately. I'm not going to judge you, she said when she called. But I need to ask, why? I don't know, I whispered. I honestly don't know. Well, we need to figure it out. Because this isn't you, Sarah. This isn't who you are. But others weren't so forgiving. When I ran into Stephanie at the grocery store, she didn't hold back. You really screwed up this time, she said coldly. Daniel's devastated. He's been staying at Brad's place, barely eating, barely talking. I hope whatever you had with Marcus was worth it. The worst part was that Marcus wasn't returning my calls. After everything, after all his promises and declarations of love, he'd disappeared completely. I realized I'd lost everything, my fiancé, my best friend, my social circle, and my self-respect, all for a man who wouldn't even stand by me when the truth came out. 2 weeks later, I was still on Emma's couch, barely functioning. I'd taken time off work because I couldn't concentrate on anything. Sarah, honey, you need to shower, Emma said gently. And maybe eat something? I'm not hungry. You can't live on coffee and guilt forever. My boss Patricia called that afternoon. You need to face this, Sarah, she said. I've been where you are, made mistakes that felt like the end of the world. But life goes on, and you have to decide who you want to be moving forward. The breaking point came when I drove past the house Daniel and I had shared. I sat in my car across the street, watching him load boxes into his truck. Even from a distance, I could see how much weight he'd lost. That's when I saw Marcus arrive. I watched in disbelief as he walked up to Daniel with a beer and a sympathetic pat on the back. He was playing the concerned friend, probably offering comfort while pretending the whole thing had been my fault alone. You bastard, I whispered, watching him manipulate the man whose heart we'd both broken. I felt sick, not just guilty anymore, but genuinely physically ill. I'd been used, abandoned, and now he was swooping in to comfort Daniel while throwing me under the bus. That night, I hit rock bottom. I sat in Emma's bathroom at 2 a.m., looking at myself in the mirror and not recognizing the person staring back. My eyes were hollow, my face gaunt, and I looked like a ghost. This isn't who I want to be, I said to my reflection. This isn't who I am. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt something other than self-pity, determination. I was going to fix this, not for Daniel, that ship had sailed, but for me. I started therapy the next week. Dr. Rodriguez was a no-nonsense woman who didn't let me wallow. You made a choice that hurt people, she said during our first session, but you're not the first person to make a mistake, and you won't be the last. The question is, what are you going to do with the consequences? I want to fix it, I said. I want Daniel back. Why? The question caught me off guard. Because I love him. Or because you're comfortable with him? Because losing him means facing the consequences of your actions? Her words stung because they held truth. I did love Daniel, but I also loved the safety he represented. Marcus had offered excitement, but when things got difficult, he'd disappeared. "You cheated because you were afraid," Dr. Rodriguez explained weeks later. "Afraid that Daniel would eventually leave you, so you gave him a reason to leave first. It's self-sabotage." Slowly, I started to understand myself. I threw myself into therapy, into work, into rebuilding my relationship with the friends who'd stuck by me. Maya became my anchor. "You're not a bad person, Sarah," she said during one of our weekly coffee dates. "You're a person who did a bad thing. There's a difference." I moved into my own small apartment, decorated it with plants and books. I started volunteering at a local shelter, partly because Dr. Rodriguez recommended it, but mostly because helping others helped me remember that I was capable of good. "I'm proud of you," Emma said one day, watching me water my plants. "You're becoming yourself again, a better version of yourself." 3 months after the breakup, I finally felt ready to face Daniel. Not to beg for forgiveness, but to take full responsibility for what I'd done. I asked Emma to reach out to Daniel for me. I was surprised when he agreed to meet at the coffee shop where we'd had our first date. When I walked in and saw him sitting in our old corner booth, my heart nearly broke all over again. He looked tired but healthier, like he was finally starting to heal. "Hi," I said quietly, sliding into the seat across from him. "Hi, Sarah." We sat in awkward silence before I took a deep breath. I don't expect forgiveness, and I'm not here to ask for another chance. I just wanted to apologize properly, face to face. Daniel nodded, his expression unreadable. "What I did was inexcusable," I continued. "I betrayed your trust, I lied to you repeatedly, and I disrespected our relationship. I took the best thing in my life and destroyed it because I was scared and selfish and stupid." "Why?" Daniel asked quietly. "That's all I want to understand. Why him? Why at our engagement party? Why at all?" I'd practiced this answer in therapy, but saying it out loud was still hard. "Because I was afraid. I was afraid that you were too good for me, that eventually you'd figure that out and leave. So I sabotaged us first. It's not an excuse, it's just the truth." Daniel was quiet for a long time. "I loved you so much, Sarah. I would have done anything for you." "I know," I whispered, tears starting to fall. "I know, and I'm so sorry." "Marcus came to see me," Daniel said suddenly. "Told me it was all his fault, that he pursued you, that you were the victim, but I know you, Sarah. You make your own choices." The fact that Marcus had tried to manipulate Daniel even after everything made me sick. He's lying. I made the choice to respond to his texts, to meet him, to kiss him back. I chose to betray you every single day for weeks. Daniel nodded slowly. "I appreciate you telling me the truth now. It's more than I got from him." We talked for another hour, not about getting back together, but about closure, about forgiveness, about moving forward separately, but without hatred. "I hope you find happiness, Daniel. You deserve it." "You too, Sarah. I really mean that." 6 months later, I was a different person. Therapy had taught me to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, to value honesty over comfort, to build my self-worth from within. I'd gotten a promotion at work. "You've really turned things around," Patricia told me during my review. "Whatever happened in your personal life, you've used it to become stronger professionally." My relationship with Emma had deepened. She'd seen me at my absolute worst and loved me anyway. Jessica and I were slowly rebuilding our friendship. "I missed you," she told me over dinner one evening. "I was so angry, but I missed my friend." "I missed you too," I replied, "and I understand why you needed space. I'm just grateful you're willing to try again." Maya remained my closest confidant. "You're not the same person who made that mistake," she observed. "You've grown." I'd heard through friends that Daniel was dating someone new, a kindergarten teacher named Lisa who seemed sweet and genuine. It hurt, but it was a clean hurt, like healing from surgery. I was genuinely happy for him. Marcus had burned his bridges with everyone. Daniel had eventually seen through his manipulations, and their friendship was over. Most of our friend group had distanced themselves from him once the full truth came out. I didn't feel vindictive about his isolation, just sad that it had taken losing everything for me to see who he really was. "I think I'm ready to start dating again," I told Dr. Rodriguez during one of our sessions. "What makes you think that?" "Because I'm finally comfortable being alone. I don't need someone else to validate me anymore." She smiled. "That is exactly when you know you're ready." A year after my world fell apart, I found myself at another engagement party, Maya's. As I watched her dance with her fiancé Tom, I felt nothing but joy for my friend. "You look happy," Emma observed, joining me at the edge of the dance floor. "I am," I realized with surprise. "Actually happy, not just pretending to be." Daniel was at the party too. He and Maya had remained friends throughout everything. We'd nodded politely to each other when I arrived, but kept our distance. It wasn't awkward anymore, just finished. Later that evening, as I was getting ready to leave, Daniel approached me by the coat check. "Sarah," he said quietly, "I wanted to tell you something." I tensed, unsure what to expect. "I forgive you," he said simply. "Not for your sake, but for mine. I needed to let go of the anger to move forward completely." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Thank you. That means more than you know." "You look good," he added. "Healthy. I'm glad you're doing well." "You too," I replied, and meant it. As I drove home to my little apartment, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. I'd lost everything, my fiancé, my best friend, my social circle, my self-respect. But in rebuilding from nothing, I'd found something more valuable: authentic self-knowledge and the ability to be alone without being lonely. I was finally ready for whatever came next, knowing that I could trust myself to make better choices. The woman who had kissed Marcus at her engagement party was gone, replaced by someone stronger, more honest, and infinitely more self-aware.